Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Barron's are holding their first classic car auction of the year this weekend, and as petrolheads all over the country are starting to plan their classic car adventures for the year ahead, I thought I'd see if there was anything interesting running through this auction. Also, there's some exciting news about Barron's which I'll talk about at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Just to make this auction a little bit different, I've decided to choose one car from the auction to suit a specific category. Now the categories I've chosen are summer soft top, track car fodder, and an entry into the Festival of the Unexceptional, which is quite difficult to say. For more classic car content, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. So for the first category of summer soft top, I'm looking for something that is ready and waiting for the spring sunshine, where you shouldn't have to spend any money before you use it, and something that should be a good driver's car. There's actually 8 soft tops or convertibles going through the auction, from the more rare or obscure models like this Lexus SC430 and this DAX Cobra kit car, through to the regular classic car auction entries such as this Jag XK8 and this BMW Z3. Having looked at all of the entries in detail, I've chosen to track this 2001 Porsche 986 Boxster S. I'm not too keen on the colour, which I think is basalt black metallic, but it's not offensive or anything. Looking at the entry details, it's a 4-owner car, which is relatively low. It's got 96,000 miles on the clock, which I would say is average, and it's a manual. The vendor has given it 4 out of 5 ratings for everything, including paintwork, interior, engine, etc. And while that sounds quite generic, looking at the pictures of the interior, I can actually quite believe it. The best thing about this car though is its maintenance history. For starters, you've got 10 months on the MOT, so it's ready to go for car season. It's got 17 service entries, which is almost one for every year of its life, and it's also had an engine rebuild and IMS bearing sorted a couple of years ago. If the condition and history for this are exactly as described, I would have expected this guide price of 4 to 5 grand on a non-S model. So the fact that this is a 3.2S, I reckon it's being given a very attractive price point. These cars stayed cheap last year, despite me thinking they were due to start rising. So it will be interesting to see what happens to them this year, especially the more cared for examples that are becoming more and more difficult to find. Right, on to the next category. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I decided to have this category because of one car going through the auction. There's technically 3 cars to choose from that could be used as track fodder, but I've changed my mind on 2 of them. The first is this Lotus Elise, which isn't in the best of condition and it's got heavy mileage on it, but I do think anyone looking to buy this at the lower end of its guide price may only need to put a couple of grand into it and they would have a half decent example. The second is this Mini Cooper, but the more I read about it, the more I realise it's actually quite a decent model with a high specification, low mileage and owners. Again, a little bit of TLC and this becomes too decent to have as a track toy. But really, there's only one car in this auction that I would call track fodder. Not just because it's a Clio Sport, because it actually looks like that's what it's been used for recently, with a racing steering wheel and the fact that it's not a perfect runner. I actually hate the fact that these are so popular as track toys, because it's made it really difficult to find decent ones. I think this one is probably too far gone to restore into a minter, but there again, if you're getting it for the low end of its guide price, you could have some room to spend on it to make it worth quite a bit more. The last category is a car that would be perfect for the ever popular Festival of the Unexceptional. For those that don't know, the Festival of the Unexceptional is a car show down in Lincolnshire which celebrates all of the unexceptional cars from the 70s through to the noughties. Something original, low spec and mundane would be a prime example. This sector of classic cars is becoming really popular, and values of these kind of cars have done really well in the last couple of years. This auction has 2 examples in my opinion, both of which are Fords. The first, and probably the weaker car when it comes to describing it as an exceptional, is this 1981 Capri. Being of a coupe body style probably goes against it as an unexceptional status, and also because it's a GL and not an L, and the 1.6 and not the 1.3 that they also had out at the time. But compared to the more sporty models in that range, like the S and the 2.8 injection, etc., as well as gear models, it's still relatively unexceptional. It looks completely original standard, also very honest, with various bits to sort out on the bodywork, but with less than 60,000 on the clock and an amazing interior, it's definitely worth a shot at that kind of estimate. The unexceptional car that I have chosen is this Ford Mondeo GLX. Again, not a perfect example of something unexceptional, as it's the GLX and not a base or LX model, so more of a mid-range model sitting underneath the SI and the gear. It's an early Mark 1 model with a 2-litre engine, 89,000 miles on the clock, and an MOT until the back end of the summer. It seems to have only 1 out of 5 stars for history, so I'm guessing that's all missing, which is a shame. But it's a one-owner car, which is incredibly rare, and the condition of the interior looks absolutely remarkable. Considering how popular these were in the 90s, it's quite surprising how rare they are now, especially the Mark 1s. This car is very much of interest to me, for reasons you'll find out in future videos coming soon, so I can't wait to see how it performs at the auction. Before I end the video, I mentioned at the start that there was some exciting news about Barron's. They've actually been taken over by Manor Park Classics as part of their future growth strategy to expand across various parts of the UK. Barron's will now be known as Barron's Manor Park Classics, and it will be interesting to see how this pans out over time. It definitely sounds as though it's been a good deal for both parties, and I wish them all the best of luck. As always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.